Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're gonna finally be able to take a look at Bandai's second Master Grade Extreme kit. This is of course the Strike Freedom Gundam, and it looks awesome. As we're taking a look here at the box, you can see just some really beautiful box art here on this. I love that although the box is glossy, but then it's got the extra finish like gold gloss there for the text right on the front for the Master Grade Extreme text. So it's a very cool, very premium feeling box. Quite large and heavy, of course. There's a lot of stuff in there. And before we get into the box, I have not even opened this or done anything with it yet, so I just want to share with you guys some of my thoughts going into this build, going into this review. Thoughts that I have about the Strike Freedom Gundam Master Grade Extreme here, because I've not seen any other reviews or anything. I wanted to go into this fresh, and here's the two thoughts that I have. Number one is that I'm expecting it to be an absolutely fantastic kit. Great articulation, great detail, great use of the different gold finishes and everything else going into it. It's basically a Master Grade version of what Bandai did with the Perfect Grade Unleashed ARC-782 Gundam. So when it comes to like the multiple layers of metallic finishes used on the inner frame, obviously we have that with this kit. Use of sticker photo etch parts to add even more metallic detail in on the frame. Things like that. It's basically everything that Bandai did great about the Perfect Grade Unleashed. They thought, well, we can do that in the Master Grade line as well, so we'll do it as a Master Grade Extreme this kit. My second thought is that did this really actually necessarily need to be in the Extreme line? Because if you take a look at the Freedom Gundam 2.0 and this, they look very similar just kind of design wise, and obviously this one has all that flashy gold and everything on the inside, but it has to because that's part of the Strike Freedom's design. So I think that this really could have been a Master Grade 2.0 Strike Freedom Gundam. Didn't necessarily have to be as a Master Grade Extreme, but whatever the case, whether it's a Master Grade Extreme or Master Grade 2.0, like I said, first off, I'm sure it's going to be an amazing kit, so that was just something, a kind of interesting thought I had about it. What do you guys think? Which line should this have been in? But again, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and get into it. Here's what we have to look forward to for the Extreme point, the metallic combination. There's different types of special finishes used for this, and here shows you the steps. Again, very similar to the Perfect Grade Unleashed Gundam. We've got copper gold coating, white gold coating, yellow gold coating. Those are all coated, that is painted parts. Then we've got two types of metallic part colors. Those are going to be parts that are in molded gold, and I guess probably a molded silver in there, it looks like, as well. I know that some people don't like that molded gold color, so we'll see how that looks. We've also got the etching stickers, which are going to be the photo etch parts added basically there in the chest and around in the legs, looks like. Some really nice action poses over here showing off all that really cool weaponry that the Strike Freedom has. And a couple things to point out on this side. You can see this comes with your standard sitting and standing pilot figure there of Kira Yamato, but you also get a 1/100 scale figure of Lacus Clyne in there as well. For the hand parts, looks like we're going to have a set of fixed pose hands for trigger finger hands, open hands, and closed fists, and then also a set of fully articulated hands. So that's good. So whatever you prefer, I prefer the fixed pose. You've got options in here. This also comes with a display base, which looks to be the Action Base 13, in my opinion, Bandai's best action base. Some very cool and detailed looking beam shields there for the arms. Obviously it's got some great articulation, a water decal, so that's also a really nice point of this, is that it include water slide decals. Obviously a regular Master Grade probably would not. And then also included in here is a multi-stand, so that looks interesting. I guess it's probably just going to be a piece of cardboard that you kind of fold over, then you can use that just to kind of stack your runners in. Now you might think that that's something new, having Bandai include a runner stand in the box, but it's actually something that they've been doing ever since they've been making model kits. You want to know the secret to a runner stand? You've got it right here. It's the top of the box. You turn it over and boom, that's where you can stack your runners just like that. But in all seriousness, guys, let's get a look at some of these parts. Some beautiful gold right off the bat there. Let's get a look at these water slide decals. You love to see it. It's looking very Katoki-esque with a lot of decals here. They're mostly in white and gray. These ones here are actually like a silver finish, which is pretty cool for those logos right there. And just some more like line details. These are probably going on the Dragoons, that's why there's so many of those. So a pretty fair amount of decals here for this one, so it's just really great to have water slide decals included. In my opinion, Bandai should include at least a few water slide decals in every kit that they put out, but hey, that's just me. And here are those plastic stickers. Again, like we saw with the Perfect Grade Unleashed, these are printed on like a really thicker kind of plastic paper, not just regular foil stickers. So these look a little bit nicer just because it's basically like a foil backing with like a thin layer of just clear plastic over the top of it. So it gives the better appearance of like a light or a camera lens, something like that. It's got a little bit more depth to the sticker, so these do look nice. All right, now let's take a look at this runner stand here. So first of all, I will say it's definitely not big enough to hold all your runners at once, as it looks like it only has slots for 4 runners at a time. So you would need a few of these to hold all your runners if you're wanting to use this for this kit. But I mean, it can be useful. Looks like you just pop off this bottom part here, fold this around carefully, tuck the tabs in, and it just stands up like that. So I mean, easy enough, cool. I mean, this could be something that Bandai could also include in more kits, maybe not in every single kit, but maybe in every Master Grade kit or something like that, just kind of as a nice extra thing. I know a lot of people like to use these. Like I said, I don't use them, I just put the runners, I just stack them up in the box. But it's a nice little kind of added gimmick, I guess, to what I suppose is already a very gimmick heavy kit. But here's our instruction manual. It's also quite thick, it's almost like a little magazine here, but you got a really nice picture of the Gundam there. Inside here we've got a lot of the same photographs of the kit that were on the outside of the box, but there's a good amount of text in here as well, which is all in Japanese and in English. So if you can read at least one of those languages, you can read up about the model kit there. Next page, it just gets right into the parts list, and it looks like we've got 21 runners in this, and then plus the action base stand there and your beam effects and shield effect parts. And the next part shows you the steps. So it looks like we're going to assemble all the frame first, then the backpack assembly, and then all the armor, everything else. And then the 4th step would just be the weapons. So kind of interesting. One thing that I like about this instruction format is that for each subsection, like here for the head, it shows you all the runners that you need just for this section, which is sometimes helpful. It also shows you that you will need stickers for this, so that's good. So maybe you build the head and you forgot a sticker somewhere, or you get to the end of the build and you have stickers left and you're wondering, oh, where did I miss a sticker? Having this on here just is a helpful reminder that, hey, you're going to need a sticker for this section. And it also separates like which are the metallic parts that go into here. So these 3 runners will be metallic parts. These ones will not, and it's got that for each section of the build. So like here's the arm frames section like that, so that's pretty cool. Once you get to the middle pages, there's some more action poses. Again, a lot of the same stuff we saw on the outside of the box though, so we can just move on. And once you get to the end here, once all the construction is done, there's a bit about how to use the weapons, how to extend the dragoons and everything. Now unfortunately with this kit, it doesn't include some kind of effect stand for actually having all the dragoons out and launching. I'm assuming that's probably going to come as some sort of Bandai set or something later on. Considering this is a Master Grade Extreme kit, it really feels like that probably should have been something included. Obviously this Gundam is special for its gold frame, but also those dragoons are a really cool part of the design. Kind of would have been nice to have been able to utilize those by having effect parts included in the box. The next page here is going to be our decal guide, showing where all the decals are going to go around on the kit. And then lastly, more information about the Strike Freedom Gundam, Kira Yamato, Lacus Klein. Again, it's all in Japanese and in English. Our painting guide is down here at the bottom for the Gundam and for the figures there. Interestingly, it does not include colors for the frame, so this is all armor colors, so I guess they're assuming that you're not going to want to repaint the frame. But if you do, you're just going to have to use just whatever different gold paints you want to use. Next page has a really cool image up there at the top and a little bit about each of the different weapons. The final page has a really cool image there up at the top, and then some information about all the different weaponry that this Gundam has. And that is it. Moving on to some other contents, here are the photo etch parts. Really nice that these are just sticker type, so you can just peel them off and stick them. You don't have to worry about cutting them out. Here's our beam effect parts here, SB1, just the standard 1/100 scale pink beam effect parts. Kind of a shame, again, seems like another missed opportunity that they could have made some new beam effects for this that kind of had a more detailed, dynamic look. Something that would have matched nicely with these very nice beam shields. So these have the color gradation with like the purple and blue and all the detail and everything there. They're kind of sparkly. These look fantastic. These are just a little bit boring in comparison. But here's the base parts. It's to action base 13, a very nice action base for 1/100 scale Gundam kits, just there in black. Our articulated hand parts are the standard 1/100 scale MP1. These are obviously molded in that nice gold, so those look cool for those of you guys that prefer articulated hands. On the A runner here, we've got 4 colors, some molded gold throughout the center, some clear blue, clear yellow right there, and clear red at the bottom. Runner B is kicking off with the first of our plated runners. Now this is a really nice looking gold. I honestly wouldn't have been disappointed at all if all of the inner frame was in just this one shade of gold, because it's a really nice kind of orange gold, really rich in color. It looks great, catches the details really nicely. That looks really awesome. Runner C is also really quite nice, but this is definitely a much more copper gold color, a darker gold, but that also does look really great for some nice contrast. And then for our lighter color gold here on Runner D, these also do look quite nice, as you can see with those parts. Runners E1 and E2 are going to be all of our white armor pieces for the kit. As you can see, runner E2 is just a copy of this section of the runner right there. It's on runner E1 that we also have our pilot figures, so those are going to be there molded in white. Runners F1 and F2 are going to be molded in a nice gunmetal gray color, so that also has some nice metallic shine to it. Runner G we have two of, so this is the molded gold runner, and this is going to be parts for in the arms and legs, hence doubling up on these. And I know that a lot of you guys probably would prefer the gold plating rather than the molded gold, but I've got to say the molded gold on here looks really nice, and there's so much detail. One thing that I know that people don't like about the molded gold is that sometimes you can see like some swirls and stuff in the plastic molding, but just because there's all that detail on there, you really can't see much of that at all, so I think it looks great. Runners H1 and H2 are going to be all of our dark navy parts, mostly for the backpack, and I think there's some on the torso in there as well. Runners I1 and I2 are going to be all of our more kind of royal blue parts there. Runners J1 and J2 are going to be all of our off-white accent parts, so the armor is going to have that two-tone effect with the whites. You'll have pure white and then this very slightly gray off-white color. Runners K1 and K2 are going to be some parts here in a pale bluish gray color there. I think that's mostly for the railguns on the sides of the hips. And last but not least, runners L1 and L2 are going to be our red accent parts for the kit. Sorry guys, that's it for the box and all of its contents. Very impressed so far. It looks like, as I expected, it's going to be fantastic. Nothing left to do except to go ahead and build it up and see how it looks. Alright guys, so here is the kit all built up. It's fantastic, beautiful, I love it, amazing details, and as you guys will see, it just looks fantastic. Even this is just straight out of the box, I didn't do anything to it, and I should let you guys know that for this review, I don't have the metallic stickers on there, I also don't have the photo etch stickers on there, and then there's also the waterslide decals. So I just want to do this review with exactly how it's going to look straight out of the box without those extra stuff. Those are things that I plan on adding after the kit is painted, so you guys will see that later on. Well, I think it may be possible to get this kit to stand on its own, kind of depending on your pose. Obviously, it's going to be very back heavy, so you're probably going to want to use the action base. So getting into the accessories, then it's good that we have an action base included with this kit, and it's the action base 13. As I just had it a minute ago, I just had it just kind of propped up against the base like so, but you do have a specific action base connector here for this. This is again very similar to what we saw with the Master Grade Freedom 2.0, so that plugs onto the base there like that. And then up underneath the backpack, you can slide this part out, and then this plugs up underneath and basically holds it up by the backpack. Slots up in there nice and easy, and it's quite solid without having this raised up too high up off the base, but you can see it's going to hold it on there just fine. And then again, we have our beam shield effect parts, which do look pretty nice from both sides. Sometimes these effect parts look better from the front and not so good from the back, but they do look pretty good from both sides there. To attach this, you're just going to extend this part here on the side of the arm, and this red and gold section here on the end, you're going to pull that off. That then plugs onto the outside of the shield, and you can plug this back in place. And because of the size of that, using one of the shields, let alone two of the shields, is probably going to be pretty awkward, because it's just like colliding with the shoulders and the backpack there, so you're going to have to be careful with how you pose it so that it's kind of out away from the body a little bit like so. Then for the beam sabers, these are stored right here on the side skirt. These can be connected if you wanted to make a double-ended beam saber or just separate like that. The effect parts though, again, are unfortunately just the standard effect parts. It would have been nice if they would have had some nice new effect parts that are kind of a bit more dynamic looking, but these are just your standard 1/100 scale ones. We got our two 1/100 scale little figures here included, Kira and Lacus Klein. Those are both very nicely detailed. For the hand options, you've got a set of fixed pose closed fists like that. Also a set of fixed pose holding hands for the left and right side that just have the trigger finger extended like so. So these you'll use for the rifles. And then a set of fixed pose open hands like this. Now these ones also have a joint here at the wrist to be able to bend that forward and back aside from just your standard ball joint connection. And then you've got your fully articulated hands. Some of you guys might like these. I don't really care for them, so I won't be using them on the kit. One thing that tends to happen, like as soon as you cut the parts off the runner and you need to rotate the part like that, is that oftentimes it'll just pop out at the knuckle here like a couple of mine already have. And then once you do that, you can get it back in there, but it's never really going to be very tight again, and it's probably just going to keep falling out on you. That's why I don't really like these articulated hands. And in my opinion, you don't really gain anything by them that you couldn't just do with just these standard, just fixed posed holding hands. I mean, the detail is basically the same, and these you don't have to worry about anything coming apart. Another option part you have is here in the head for the eyes. I used the gold plated part there, but you do also Have the option of using a clear yellow part if you prefer that. I think that's probably what I'll use later on the kit once it's painted up, but for now I've just gone ahead and used the gold one because it shines a little bit brighter. And lastly, we have the two beam rifles. And these are the only thing asymmetrical about the kit, in that one is for the left side, one is for the right side. The barrel does extend for when they're firing, and there is a clear blue part that goes in right there. I have not added that part in yet just because it's going to be more difficult to get that out of there, so I'll add that in once it's painted. And there's another clear blue part that goes in on this end. When you pull that out and extend that down, that's meant to be a camera right there, so you've got a clear blue part for that as well that I've not added in yet. Yeah, the barrels can extend, and then you can also fold the handles in. You can extend this part out the side for clipping that onto the side skirt area, which I'll show you here in just a second. Yeah, once that camera is folded out to the side of the one, then you can slot them in together like that. And the double rifle at full length comes out to be about 21.5 centimeters in length, so it's quite long once that's all fully extended like that. Now, as I mentioned, the rifles can be attached onto the side skirt, so let's go ahead and demonstrate that and talk a bit about some of the articulation. Now, to do that, I'm just going to remove the backpack off the body because then it'll be kind of easier to show you some of the finer points of the articulation here. But real quick, you can move the back skirt down until you hear it click, like that, and then you can rotate the rail guns around to the back, and then here on the side you're just gonna flip that part out to the side like that. Just collapse the handle of the beam rifle, flip out this little peg bit right there, and then this can plug right into the side skirt. And so that's how that's gonna look once you have those attached onto the side and the rail guns rotated around to the back, which in a way sort of become an extended back skirt, sort of like that, a much larger back skirt area. As for the head, I'll just say the color separation here is amazing. The light bluish gray and the gold bits poking out here around in the face section. You've got clear blue there for the cameras. You also have metallic 3D stickers you can put there if you want to emphasize those a little bit. And gold bits more poking out here around the back section. Here at the base of the back of the head, this part can be lifted up a little bit. That will allow you to get a higher extension of the head articulation to look up. Ultimately, it can go all the way up to about there, which is a really nice upward movement there for the head. Down, you've got no issues with that there at all. The cockpit hatch just simply slides open like so, and there's your seated pilot figure right down inside there. Now, the stomach articulation here is kind of interesting. So there's two points that I want to point out to you guys here. You can see how those white parts on the side of the stomach section will move back and forth as you move this side to side, so that's really cool. And then because it's got this beam cannon there in the middle of the torso, it's ab articulation, instead of bending forward here where it would, it kind of bends forward up at the chest, like the whole top of the chest kind of bends forward and in like that. These front parts here kind of collapse down a bit as you bend that forward. So it's a pretty cool point of articulation there, just to get a little bit of an ab crunch out of that. And again, this kind of goes throughout the kit, but especially against these dark colors, all the little bits of gold poking out there are really, really nice. As for the shoulders, these flaps here on the front and back can move forward and back to get those out of the way. And the whole shoulder can open up like that. And when you open that up, it extends out those vents. So you can see those kind of pop out as you lift this up. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. I'll try to do it slowly so you can see how those extend out, but it's a very cool little gimmick there. And again, exposing more of that gold there on the inside. I will say I don't really like how there's a mold line right down the middle of that little gold bit right there on the front of the shoulder. That's not a detail that should be there. That's just a mold line that I really wish that Bandai would have planned to put that in a different place, so it's not right there on this very shiny bit right on the front of the Gundam. But otherwise, the arm works pretty normally. This flap up here you can also lift up and out of the way. You can rotate there at the top of the bicep. Nice double joint there in the bicep, again with a lot of that nice gold frame showing. This section of the forearm rotates. That'll allow you to move this kind of gauntlet to shield part around to the front or the back or the side, kind of wherever you might want that. It's pretty tight, so just be a little bit careful with that. This whole section does also move in and out like that, so you can kind of change the angle of that a little bit. Otherwise, the wrist just on a ball joint there. Going here to the skirt armor. This is another really cool gimmick, how this expands out. You just very simply just pull this part out and that all expands out like that, again exposing more of that gold frame. That looks really nice, works really well. Here, that gold part up underneath the clear red, and I did mention this about the shoulders as well, but the gold up underneath the clear red looks really nice here and there. The back skirt does something similar, but it's a bit more simple. It's just this part here pulls out to the side there at the back skirt, but again, exposing some of that nice gold frame. Forgot, need to push that back up there like that. The hip joint is quite interesting. There's a kind of a lot going on here. So the whole hip can swing, extend forward like that there at the base, and that will allow you to bring the leg up higher to the front, kind of when that's extended out. But then you have a kind of joint here, which is strange, which will allow the leg to bend like this. If you can see where that's bending, it's below the main attachment point right there, which is a quite interesting point to have articulation. It's kind of different. But it's just one more thing to give you even more articulation here in the hip section. When you bend the leg, you can see this part at the top of the thigh bends out like so, and then the knee obviously is going to separate into a couple of sections there, exposing some more of that beautiful frame. And this is a couple spots where you have photo etch parts that go in around here in the knee section. That'll look really nice. I do really like how detailed and especially how chunky the lower legs are. Back around here, this section also extends out. You can lift up these little flaps and you've got kind of more vent detail up inside there. Again, that also looks really nice. And then here at the base of the lower leg, these two lower panels right there will also work kind of like in the stomach section, how they move side to side as you move the ankle to the left and right. They swing to the left and to the right like that, which is very cool. The ankle armor itself is plugged in at a ball joint at the back of the ankle, so that's going to move around a little bit, but mostly it's just kind of just floating there. You have a toe bend and an additional toe bend here at the end, and that can move up all the way. There's your detail up underneath the feet, all the way back down to there like that. Just beautiful detail all around here on these, and then side to side, no issue there with that either. And then for the wings, so this section will move forward and back. Rotate each main section like that. Although it's not very useful, you can slightly adjust the angle of these two sections like so. Then you can rotate them up separately. They extend out. Some of them are tighter than others, I've found. The extension of the Dragoons to extend them out like that. And they further separate like so. So when you have this completely spread out, it'll open up and looks really, really nice. But again, love that color separation between the reds, the light grays, and little bits of gold just poking out everywhere. And that is the one other thing that I want to talk about here regarding the gold. And that's the use of the injected gold, which would be the two G runners that we have for this kit. Now, some people I know were disappointed that Bandai had used some injected gold rather than using all plated gold. My thoughts going into the build were that if the injected gold is in areas that don't really show that much on the completed kit, then it really doesn't matter that much. And I don't think that the injected gold, in my opinion, it doesn't look bad, but I understand some people don't like it. Now, having built the kit, there is a fair amount of that injected gold that is showing on the completed model. So I do agree in that I think it would have been nice if Bandai would have had any bits of gold that's going to be showing when the kit is complete to be plated gold, and then just reserved those parts that are not plated for like parts of the inner frame that just really aren't going to show at all. I think that would have been more consistent, so when you have the model finished up on your shelf, any bits of gold that you can see is that really nice plated gold. That said, if Bandai would have gone ahead and also plated the G runner, that would have made the kit even more expensive, and that might have messed with some of the tolerances, because obviously that plating adds a little bit of thickness onto those parts, and so maybe it would have been a little bit tighter of a model, and you would have had more danger of stuff breaking or just parts being too tight and things like that. Now, as for the concerns that I've heard about breaking pegs, I have heard that the peg between the top and bottom half of the kit, basically the part that holds the torso to the waist section, can be a point that can be prone to breaking. I obviously haven't had any issues with mine, but just a warning to you guys just to be a little bit careful with that. At the end of the day, you should be careful with these anyway because they're model kits and not toys, but just something that I'm just passing along to you guys just to be cautious of. Also, the gold sections that connect the wing parts together, just be a little bit careful with those parts as well, because obviously they're kind of load-bearing parts that are just connected on, a fairly small peg. You just want to be careful when moving stuff around. But other than addressing those couple of points of concerns that I've heard from you guys, I think this is a fantastic kit. It looks beautiful. I love the plated gold colors that they use for this. I'm really happy with the different colors of gold that they went with. It's a little bit kind of darker, more orangey, and you also have some of that like copper gold in there as well. I think that looks so much better than if they would have gone with like a really bright white gold for a lot of these parts. It would have made it look like kind of too chrome chrome-like, I guess. That and the armor colors are also really nice. You have that two-tone white, that really nice blue color, and that very nice almost black, really dark midnight blue color, and then with a couple little red accents in there. Everything, the colors on this look fantastic. I love the details on this. It's very sharp, kind of edgy design. Again, it really matches quite well with the design of the Freedom Gundam 2.0, and again, kind of makes me think that this really kind of just could have been just a Master Grade 2.0 Strike Freedom Gundam. But all I can say to you guys is I love the kit. I think Bandai did a fantastic, amazing job with this model kit. Is it worth it? Is really kind of going to be up to you guys to decide, because it is more expensive of a model kit, and I think it's important to remember how much the plating process adds to the cost. If you look at any kit that's got plated runners in there, it's always going to be more expensive, so that's a big part of the cost that you're seeing right there. And then once you include elements like the photo etch parts, water slide decals, the 3D metallic stickers, things like that, all this stuff kind of is going to add to the cost as well. So I think it's a pretty fair cost. If you consider it something similar in cost to like one of the lower and perfect grades, I think in terms of what you get in the box and what you get in terms of quality, it's right there. It's pretty similar. As I said at the start, I think this kit is very, very similar to the perfect grade Unleashed. Obviously, it's in a different scale, but you still have a lot of stuff going with that. This has a very large and complex backpack and everything going in there. So all these kind of things add to the cost, and I think that the value is there, but at the end of the day, it's going to be up to you guys whether it's really worth the cost to you. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think about this kit, the second in the MGEX line? I think Bandai did an amazing job on this. What's next for the future of the MGEX line? I'm not sure. You can let me know your guys' predictions. What do you think would make a good candidate for an MGEX kit in the future? And especially let me know what would be the extreme point that Bandai can really hone in and focus on as like kind of the gimmick of the kit. Let me know your guys' thoughts. I really don't know. I'm not sure what would make a good example. I think an Exia could be cool, but it would basically just be a lighting gimmick similar to what we already saw with the Unicorn. I think a Zeta could be cool, focusing maybe on the transformation, but we're already getting the Zeta Verka out like next month. So I really don't know. I think we're all in for a surprise, whatever it ends up being, but I'm looking forward to hearing your guys' thoughts. If you guys want to check out this kit for yourself or anything else from Bandai, you can check the link in the video description down below to USA Gundam Store. There's also paints, tools, and supplies, and all that good stuff that you guys might need. You can check that out there. I think, planning on repainting this kit. I am planning on working on this kit a little bit more, so look forward to seeing some updates on that in the near future. For now, thank you guys so much for checking out the video today. I hope you found it helpful. And for any of y'all who do decide to pick up this kit, or if you already have it, I hope that you love it as much as I do. And thank you guys so much for checking out the video today. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.